Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig Sports. This is the NBA DFS Core Pick video for today, Tuesday, January 23rd. If you're joining me for the very first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how today's video will be structured. We'll be going over a recap of yesterday's picks, seeing how they ultimately ended up turning out. Then after that, we'll move over to RotoWire, talk through the 5-game main slate in terms of injuries, any kind of news or notes that will be important to know for today's slate overall. I will be posting updates to the injuries as the day moves along, so definitely be sure to look out for that as well. And then last but not least, we move over to DraftKings and FanDuel and talk about my core picks for today. So it's going to be one player at each position. So point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. But without further ado, we'll get started with that recap of yesterday's picks. So on the DraftKings side, at point guard, we went Luka Doncic, $11,200. Looking for at least 56 out of him. He got to 83, so he was a really good hit yesterday. Unfortunately, he was not the top overall guy on the slate just because Joel Embiid existed and he had 70 real-life points. And then we had Karl Anthony Towns who had 62 real-life points as well. So if you had some combination of Luka Doncic, Karl Anthony Towns, and Joel Embiid by some chance, then you would have been doing really well yesterday, but you would get lucky on some paydown options at the same time as well. Then at shooting guard, we had Jaden Ivey, $6,700, looking for 33, 34 out of him. He's pretty much hit that every time since Cade Cunningham's been out. Unfortunately, it was not the case yesterday. So 28.75, he was a miss. He was 5 for 14 shooting from the field yesterday, mainly scoring dependent, so it was just kind of unfortunate there. Then small forward, we switched over to Nickeil Alexander-Walker once it was announced that Mike Conley would not be playing and that he would be starting. $3,500, looking for 17, 18 points out of him. Got to 24.5, so he's a really good hit as well. Then at power forward, we went to DeMar DeRozan. I did kind of mention on the FanDuel side that I was kind of between DeRozan and Jaren Jackson here. Unfortunately, DeRozan was the lesser of the two. And for DeMar DeRozan, $7,400, looking for at least 37 out of him. Only got to 33.25, so he was a miss. Played a good handful of minutes, but mainly just scored the ball yesterday. And then last but not least, at that center position, we went with Wendell Carter Jr. $5,400, looking for at least 27 out of him. He got 26.75, did ultimately end up giving him a push. Played 27 minutes in this game, and it was a pretty big blowout as well. So, if the game's not a blowout, he probably gets like 3-4 extra minutes here. Could help him out a little bit overall and would have paid off at that price tag overall. So a little bit of a hit or miss day on DraftKings. Obviously, you would still need some pretty decent plays to cash on yesterday's slate since it was a pretty high-scoring one just in general. And then on the FanDuel side, initially at point guard, I had Markelle Fultz there. I kind of mentioned, on the back-to-back, maybe they do ultimately end up resting him. I didn't really like a lot of guys at point guard yesterday. This maybe should have just been Luka Doncic, but ultimately did end up on Tyrese Maxey. They had very little guard depth yesterday, so he did play the 42 minutes, but at $9,000, you're looking for 45 points on him. He only got to 32.8, so mainly scored the ball yesterday, had a couple of assists, but nothing too else major than that, so unfortunately was a miss. Then at shooting guard, we went Nickeil Alexander-Walker once again, $4,400 on the FanDuel side, so looking for at least 22 out of him. He got to 23, so he was a hit as well. At small forward, initially we had RJ Barrett if you stayed with him, which was another guy that I did play in my lineup just in general. He was a really good play. Unfortunately, Kelly Oubre here at $5,400, looking for 27 out of him. When we were looking at the depth that was not there, especially at that guard position for Philadelphia, I kind of figured Kelly Oubre would get, probably 32 minutes in this game. Only ended up playing 25, mainly scored the ball, had a couple fouls here and there. And then obviously when Joel Embiid was kind of doing his thing, all these other 76ers guys weren't going to be getting a whole heck of a lot there. So only 11.6 for Kelly Oubre, a guy that did really hurt our lineups yesterday overall. And then at power forward, we went with Jaren Jackson Jr., $8,400, looking for at least 42 out of him, got to 56.3, so he was a really good hit on yesterday's slate. Unfortunately, it was just kind of undershadowed since Karl Anthony Towns did have that big day, and then obviously Joel Embiid as well. And then last but not least, at center, we went with Al Horford, $5,700, looking for 28, 29 points out of him, only got 24.7, so technically he was a miss. He played decent-sized minutes. He played an all-right role. He just didn't quite get there on yesterday's slate overall. So once again, kind of like the DraftKings side on FanDuel, there was a chance to cash still, but you had to get a little bit lucky. You probably needed some exposure to Karl Anthony Towns, maybe Luka Doncic, and then kind of squeezing out some real cheap guys elsewhere. But with that being said, today's a new day. Obviously, anything can happen on DFS. That's kind of the beauty of it, is it's a one-game slate. If it doesn't go right one day, you have a chance to make up for it the very next day. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to RotoWire and talk about those injuries in play for tonight's games. So once again, it's only a 5-game main slate in total. We're going to start off with the Denver Nuggets, who are without Kankar and Strother. Once again, Strother only has the green mark next to him, but he is listed as out as well for tonight's game. And then we do have Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. both listed as probable to play. Aaron Gordon, I believe, has a shoulder injury, and then Michael Porter Jr. coming off an illness. So pretty much what we've seen out of Denver as of late. And then on the Pacers side, we got Isaiah Jackson listed as questionable, and then both guards in Tyrese Haliburton, Andrew Nembhard listed as questionable. Haliburton should be playing in this game. He did get their most recent game off. And then Nembhard did return, I believe, in that most recent game as well. Came off the bench behind TJ McConnell. So nothing too crazy here for the Pacers team. Should seem like a pretty normal starting lineup, or as normal as it's been since Tyrese Haliburton returned and Pascal Siakam joined the team. So haven't really seen too many chances like that, but we've at least got a 1-game sample size of it. Then we move over to the New York Knicks, and we have Mitchell Robinson out once again. Obviously, he's out for most of the season. And then we have Isaiah Hartenstein listed as questionable tonight. He's dealing with an ankle injury that did cause him to leave their most recent game early, and Precious Achiuwa actually played really well in that time behind him. So if Hartenstein's out tonight, Precious Achiuwa becomes an interesting value option. If Hartenstein plays, not really interested in either one. And then for the Brooklyn Nets, they're without Day'Ron Sharpe, Ben Simmons, and Dariq Whitehead all once again. So pretty much what we've seen out of them as of late. The Utah Jazz have no official injuries at this point in time. And then on the Pelican side is just Matt Ryan out once again. So pretty safe game for injury perspective there. And then we move down to the Portland Trailblazers without Moses Brown and Shaedon Sharpe once again. So no real changes there. They do have Anthony Simons playing in this game. I believe Scoot Henderson missed their most recent game as well. So, a little bit healthier at that guard position, which means just going to have to get a little bit more creative on how you attack them. More GPP options than anything. And then the Oklahoma City Thunder, all the way healthy at this point in time. We move over to the Los Angeles Lakers, who are without Gabe Vincent, and LeBron James is out tonight. So you got that LA battle. Kind of surprised that he's not playing, but it is what it is at this point in time. Not sure if they're on the back-to-back. I haven't looked that far ahead at this point in time. And then we have Anthony Davis and Jared Vanderbilt. Both listed as probable to play for tonight's game overall. Taurean Prince did miss their most recent game, but looks like he should be good to go for tonight's game overall. And then on the Clippers side, we got Diabate and Zubac both out once again. So pretty much what we've seen out of them as of late. But with that being said, that's a quick little rundown on all the injuries in play for tonight's slate just in general. If there's any other injury updates throughout the day, I will be listing them down in the comments as that news does get announced throughout the day, as well as the starting lineups as they do get announced throughout tonight as well. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to DraftKings and talk about my core picks over there. So we're going to start off at the point guard position with Spencer Dinwiddie. He's only $5,600. We're looking for 28 out of him. He's averaging almost 30 so far on the season. He did have a pretty good down stretch, which kind of reduced his price tag for a little while there. But if you look at his last 3 games, he's played at least 30 minutes, and he scored at least 30 DraftKings points in all 3 of them. So kind of expect similar tonight. Not the greatest matchup versus the New York Knicks. It's a little bit of a pace-down spot. It's a little bit of a tougher defense as well, but definitely do like Spencer Dinwiddie once again tonight. Currently I'm projected for about 29-30. Could have a little bit of upside for more at the same time as well. Then in shooting guard, we're going to Colin Sexton, another guy that's been playing really well as of late. $6,200. A little bit of pace down spot here versus the Pelicans as well. They are a team that can play pretty good defense when they want to. So, there is a little bit of risk there, but $6,200 for Colin Sexton the way he's been playing as of late. That's just too good of a price tag to pass up. Looking for at least 31 on him. Currently, I'm projected for 36, but definitely has some pretty strong upside for more at the same time as well. Then at small forward, we got OG Anunoby, $5,800. Looking for 29 on him. He's gone over 30, I believe, in his last 3 games as well. So just too cheap a price tag at this point in time. Currently, I'm projected for 30 to 31 tonight. Looks like a pretty solid, safe play overall. Then we move down to power forward with Aaron Gordon, $5,900. Looking for 29-30 out of him. Pretty much what he's been doing so far on the season. It's a pace-up spot versus the Pacers today. So like the upside that he does present. Currently, I have him projected for 31-32 tonight. Could have a little bit of upside for more. Could have a little bit of downside for less at the same time as well. And then last but not least, we have Anthony Davis tonight, $10,200, looking for 51 points out of him at the very least. There is no LeBron James. The Lakers are going to have to lean on him, averaging 54 fantasy points so far on the season. Currently have him projected for 56, 57 on tonight's slate overall, but definitely does have a pretty strong upside for more. And especially when you figure that he's going against the Clippers, Zubac's not going to be out there, which he's not much of a defender anyways, but Mason Plumlee, Daniel Tice, heck, they've been rolling Kawhi out as kind of their small ball 5 at times, so should be a pretty favorable matchup for Anthony Davis just in general. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed here, you have $16,300 remaining. just over $5,400 per player. So a little bit of room and flexibility to be had there. Looking a little bit more like a balanced build type of day, at least early on. We'll see if any other value does pop up throughout the day. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to FanDuel and talk about my core picks over there as well. So on the FanDuel side, we're going to start off at the point guard position with James Harden. He is $8,200, looking for 41 out of him. And he's averaging about 39 so far on the season. Obviously, it was a pretty slow stretch to start off the season. It's kind of playing better as of late once again. $8,200. Once again, you're looking for 41 fantasy points out of him. Currently have him projected for 43 points tonight. Obviously, with these Clippers players, him, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, any one of those three can really go off on any given night. So you do have some pretty strong upside there. You know, the $8,200 price tag kind of reflects the player that he's been most of the season, but he does project just a little bit better than that from a median projection. And then you do have that extra upside at the same time as well. And then we move down to shooting guard with Buddy Hield, $6,300, re-entered that starting lineup once again, playing big minutes. So definitely do like the upside with him. A little bit of a tougher matchup versus Denver, a little bit slower matchup as well, but $6,300, looking for 31, 32 out of him tonight. Exactly what I do have him projected for as of right now. But if he's out there, if he's spacing the floor well, if he's knocking down that three ball, he's going to look like a really good play overall. And then we move down to small forward. I just kind of wanted somebody that was a little bit cheaper here tonight. So we got Lou Dort, $5,000, looking for 25 points out. I'm currently on projected for about 24, 25. Has a little bit of upside for more, has some downside for less. Pace up spot versus the Portland Trailblazers today. Should be a pretty interesting matchup. There is always the risk of blowout when Oklahoma City faces Portland. Portland's kind of rolled over a lot of times so far this season, even though they should be a better team on paper. But that's a story for a different day. They are pretty healthy at this point in time, so maybe this is a little bit more competitive game, and maybe that favors a guy like Lou Dort just in general. Then we move down to power forward. We've got Rui Hachimura here at $4,500. We'll see if him or Jared Vanderbilt starts in place of LeBron James tonight. But either way, I do like the scoring upside of Rui Hachimura. He is $4,500. We're looking for 22, 23 fantasy points out of him. He's averaging about 19 so far on the season, but he has had some pretty big spike games at times when he's either gotten the minutes or been really hot shooting from the field just in general. So does offer some pretty significant upside. Currently I'm projected for about 24 points. Definitely has some pretty strong upside for more at the same time as well. And then last but not least, we go down to Anthony Davis once again, $11,400. So $1,200 more expensive on FanDuel than he is over on DraftKings. Still like the upside that he could present with no LeBron James tonight. Looking for at least 57 out of him. He's averaging 54 so far on the season. Currently, I'm projected for 58, 59 on the FanDuel side. Obviously, you get a little bit of that block upside, which gives you the extra point. So definitely do like him a little bit more on FanDuel from that perspective in terms of the overall scoring. But in terms of the price perspective on DraftKings, he looks a little bit better over there from that perspective as well. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed, you're at $24,600 remaining, just over $6,100 per player. So once again, looking a little bit more like a balance build type of day. We'll see if any other additional value does pop up throughout the day. Obviously, some of these picks, especially on the FanDuel side, could change throughout the day if we do get some other value that does open up as well. But with that being said, these are my core picks for both FanDuel and DraftKings for today, Tuesday, January 23rd. As always, if you have any questions related to NBA DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comments and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. I do ask that you please note whether those questions are more FanDuel or DraftKings specific. Just be sure to list that below so I can help you as quickly and efficiently as possible. And then as always, I'll be posting all the injury updates as they do come out throughout the day, as well as the starting lineups as they do get announced throughout the night. And then also be sure to look out for my updated core about 15 to 20 minutes prior to lock. I'll be leaving that as a pinned comment. If there's no changes for whatever reason, I'll just leave a pinned comment that says no changes at this point in time. If there's any other additional changes after that point in time, I will leave them as a reply to the pinned comment as well. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, we just have NBA DFS going on, so it's the core picks Monday through Friday. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting whatsoever, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS, Parlay Play, and Prize Picks. If you are a brand new user to any one of those 3 sites, when you sign up, you make your first deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For Parlay Play and Prize Picks, it's 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. On BetUS, it's 125% of your initial deposit up to $2,500. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there. If you have any other additional questions related to sports betting or prop betting in general, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comments or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport, and be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in NBA DFS tonight.